care. I do anything. Phone, doesn't matter. The pug wants attention. So we'll give him scritches. So it is this November. I keep thinking it's December. It's not December yet. Although you couldn't tell that by the way it looks outside. It's cold. And it's snowing. I know. I live in Canada. I really can't complain. So yeah. I'm Liz, and welcome to For Want of Pockets. This is Gadget, who I've apparently hit the right spot. And yeah, we're having a snow day. Well, technically a day off for me anyway. So I guess get right into it. There hasn't been a whole lot of progress in the last month. Well, there has been. It's just been slow and not so steady. So I figured I'd pull out, since it's winter and all, and I'm not actually sure if any of you have seen this one, because I don't remember when I did it, and apparently I didn't put it in my RAV projects, so I haven't got a clue. I have to go look back through my photographs, because I'm fairly certain I was working on this on the plane ride home for Christmas in 2016. Yes. Yeah. So it's been around for a while, but this is kind of my go-to winter hat. And it is the Norland hat, Norrland, not New Orleans as in the city. And I loved it. It was a quick, easy knit. It's coming from me. That doesn't mean much for anyone though, so... I'm doing this on my laptop, so if you start to see me like fiddling around with things, it's just because the screen's going blank and I need it to not do that. So I'm praying that this is working, because I don't know. So this is, like I said, Norland hat by Sarah Huntington Birch. It does come with a mitten pattern, which I have yet to make. I have them started. I just haven't finished them. And I should probably do that because it's pretty. And yeah, that's... I want to say this is Mad Tosh, but I'm not 100% sure. It might actually be one of the ones from... oh, shoot. Knit.com. Anyways. Or yarn. Oh, shoot. It's been a while since I've ordered yarn online. Let me... I think that's it. Webs. It's from Webs. And I think it's either Mad Tosh or it's their house brand. Either way, it's soft and it's squishy and it's a merino cashmere blend because of course it is. And the only thing that I did was I added a bit of length, so this whole white pattern here, and actually some of the blue, where it starts before the big snowflakes start, is all my addition, because I have a large head, and at the time I knit this, I had quite a bit more hair than I currently look like the Fawns from, yeah. But, see? Like I said, big head, because there isn't much room left in there. But I love it, and this is kind of my go-to hat in the winter. And has been for the last little while. What are you doing? There is no food in here. None. None. So that's that. That's your knitting FO. Because my sweaters, it's not in timeout, but we are not impressed. The other FO was, I think I had just said that I was going to do this. I don't think I'd actually cut it out or anything yet. This is the skirt that I was saying I was going to make last time. It's cotton, like quilting, it's quilter's cotton that it's made out of the sale bin at my local neighborhood sewing store. I live in the middle of Mennonite country, so a lot of the little stores are wonderful because they're run by Mennonites, but they'll have really good stuff for fairly cheap. So this was like $5 a yard or $5 a meter, which is unheard of around here, especially not for decent quality Coulter Scott. So I made a whole skirt out of it. There was supposed to be a vest that went with it, and I got it all cut out, and I still haven't figured out if there's an issue with the pattern or if there's an issue with the sewer. Or it could be an issue with both. Unfortunately, the pattern does not come with a whole lot in the way of instructions. So, yeah. We're gonna fiddle with that a bit and possibly wait until my mom comes down for Christmas. Hi, Mom. And see what she says, because I can't make it. The pieces sort of make sense, but then they sort of don't. I can't figure out why. So I'm just going to leave it alone for now because I'm not that invested in it. I don't want to get that invested in it either. So yeah, that's the finished objects. I got more done on my corset. So it still doesn't really look like much, but you can see where, because it's double layer, you can see where it's starting to actually take shape. So this needs to get finished. That's half of it, the other half's over in the chair. See, I promise, I have two halves. I do, however, need to find a grommet setter, because grommet tape is not cheap, and I want to make myself, I've been making more corsets, or wanting to make more corsets, and I finally found a source for decently priced material that'll actually work properly. One of my most recent favorite stores for fabric is Len's Mill in Hawkesville. And it's this little teeny, well, it's not that tiny, but it's a small warehouse that is packed to the rafters and then some, full of mostly fabric, but they do have surprisingly decent yarn. It's a lot of acrylic, but I've gotten some decent stuff there too, and it's, like I said, really good price. So, who am I to say no? Yeah, so I need to find a grommet setter. And let's see here. We have Janet's shawl, which I'm not going to really say much about, because while it has gotten longer, because I'm now past the 3/4 of the way mark, quite a bit past it actually, it hasn't really changed since last time you saw it. There are, or at least there should be, pictures up on my Instagram page that have it all spread out, because I steam blocked a part of it. So hopefully, I'll double check afterwards. Those should be up because I didn't do it at the beginning. I'm Jaded Knitter on pretty much all social media. So if you're looking for me, try that first. Like I said, this sweater, which is Violet's jacket from Centenary Stitches, is, oops, no, there we go, looking like a sweater now, at least on one side. As you can see, the sleeves aren't done, and the front half of this one isn't done, which, for those of you playing along, will notice that is a lot less than was actually done last week. And that's because, and this is why you always read the pattern, and yeah, I didn't. So I've essentially reknit this thing 3 times now. I used the original measurements from the pattern. I'm 5'10" and have a fairly large bust line. I have a 44-inch bust. Let's be honest here. The pattern was meant for someone quite a bit shorter and less busty than I am. So what ended up happening, I'll show you the back just because it's easier to see it on here, is when I did the pattern, when I finished it originally, this piece here, which is supposed to be the waistband, was more up here, so it didn't fit, and it looked really weird because band across, yeah, it didn't look right. So I ended up having to cut it apart. So I actually took it apart at the seam between the brown and the dark brown color, and because this was originally knit from the bottom up around to the front. So I re-knit, luckily, because this is in garter stitch. This is why we like garter stitch. I re-knit it from this point down and just had to futz around a bit to add in, because there's supposed to be a bit of a peplum at the base, and I just had to futz around a bit to add in some stitches, which are very blatantly obvious that I added them in on here, but once it's where's the sewing line? Once it's sewn together, you can't really tell. So I had to add more stitches under the armhole, and then redo this. And since I was having to re-knit a lot anyway, and I was going to have to re-knit this bottom part, I redid all of these white sections with the correct number of stitches, so the basket weave pattern actually looks correct. And then had to do the same thing on the fronts. Except on the fronts, I just kind of ripped everything back out and re-knit. So I've got several inches more, and I'm done one side. So the left side, I finished it last night. I'm just in the process of seaming it. So hopefully that'll be done soon, because I'd like to be able to wear it at some point. So like I said, that is Violet's jacket, and it is by Elizabeth Lovick, and it's out of Centenary Stitches. Very nice book, lovely patterns, but read your pattern, make sure you understand your pattern, don't be me. That's really all the knitting I've gotten done. I am a lot slower now than I used to be. Anyone who's played along for a while has, especially anyone who's knows me from the days of Two Tangled Skeins. I am a very fast knitter. Like, I've knit 2 sweaters in a month, but over the years I've got a couple of chronic illnesses, and it just means that I'm not as fast as I used to be. So there are a lot of days where nothing gets done when I get home but snuggling the puppy, and that's okay. It just means there isn't as much to show you. So I'm thinking I'm going to do these once a month versus any quicker than that, because you're not going to see any progress otherwise. What else was I going to say? Oh, wait a minute. I did have one more. I knew I had another object right here somewhere. The blouse, I don't remember what this was, condition this was in last time, but I've now got, an actual blouse. And it's all done except for the buttons in the back, because yes, it does button up the back. So it's a little weird getting into it, because I don't know if everyone did this, but I know I did. You took one of your dad's old shirts and you wore it backwards as a smock to paint in when you were a little kid. I'm sure most of you have done that. So it kind of feels like that when you're first putting it on, and it's weird, but it fits really well and it looks good. And this one is several inches longer, so I know that it's actually going to stay tucked in. But like I said, I just have to do the buttons and the buttonholes on that one. I'm going to attempt to put in a couple of little clips of the sewing of this shirt and of the skirt. The skirt is the 1898 walking skirt from Truly Victorian, and this is where'd it go? I had it up. Where is it? 1900 to 1910 blouse in Gimpy, and it's from Wearing History on Etsy. They are patterns that you have to actually piece together. So you can see where, when I kind of do that, you can see the line in the paper. So it definitely makes for an interesting little jigsaw puzzle. But especially because I'm in Canada and shipping is not user-friendly. I worked it out for the patterns that I need for the next couple of projects. It would cost me double to get them shipped in paper form. I'll deal with printing them out myself, thank you. It was cheaper to buy a printer to handle it than it was to pay shipping, which is annoying. Very, very annoying. But 'tis what it is. Couple of weeks, I guess, at this point, because I've gone out a couple of times. I've done a bit of fabric crawl. So I went to the Toronto fabric district, which I highly recommend. Also, there's a yarn store at either end of it, and several more within easy bus distance. So yarn, fabric, I'm good. Eaton Center's down, like, it's on Queen Street at, I want to say Steeles, but I'm not sure. So I got a couple of things there. I did find, and I'll try and put in some, because I've got a couple of video clips of a few of the stores I went into. But I got, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. It's in a baggie because the white is actually silk, very thin, very light silk, which I'm going to make a shirt out of. And then I will take this out. I don't know how well this is going to it doesn't show up as well on camera as it does in person. It's a pink and a blue. It's almost like a neon pink and a periwinkle, actually. And it's got a sheen when you see it in person. It's 100% cotton, and I love this. This is going to be the majority of the dress that I'm wearing to my brother's wedding next summer. And then the precious little bit of silk, because silk's not cheap, is going to be the top part, because I'm just gonna put that away, because I refuse to wear a plastic dress, and that's what most women's formal wear is. It's a formal event. I'm not wearing plastic. In California, in the summer, outside. Hope. So I went looking just to see what they had, and I found that stuff, and it was on a rather, well, the dress fabric was on a rather spectacular sale. I'll show you a pattern once I've made a decision. So that's not going to have anything done with it until the new year. I'm just really happy with the fabric. I want to do a working mock-up of the dress first, before I cut into my special fabric. Also, it's winter, and that's a summer dress. I mean, it's winter. So on that theme, we are making, yes, this is a pillowcase. I pulled it out because it was the easiest thing to grab. I'm going to make a petticoat out of this, because it's 100% cotton flannel. It's probably not, well, no, there's no probably, it's not the best quality, but I got a queen size sheet set for dirt cheap. I can't buy enough material to make a skirt for how much I paid for that, and it's underclothing, so I'm cool with that. I mean, a lot of the white stuff you've seen has been made out of sheets. Sheets are cheap, and they have a lot of yardage. This is the other thing that this is the 13 yards, something like that. It's a lot of yardage of a very lovely, very tiny houndstooth. That's the word I'm looking for. houndstooth pattern in 100% wool. It will be a skirt and a vest. And if I can finagle it, possibly a skirt, a vest, and a jacket. But I think it's just going to be, but I don't think I quite have enough for that. Found that stuff at a fabric outlet called Fabric in Toronto. If you're ever in need of any kind of like 80s neon spandex or anything involving sequins or glitter or any of that, go to this store. They have a fantastic selection of like wools and silks and like just regular linens and stuff. Their cottons are, but I mean, you can get cotton anywhere. But if you want something to make a fabulous gown for, Mardi Gras, that's the place to get it. The other place these two came from on Queen Street, so they weren't the bargain basements that one was. But yeah. So yeah, if anyone wants to go fabric and or yarn hunting in Toronto, let me know. I'm always good with that. I think that's actually about it. That's pretty much all I've gotten done. So like I said, I'm aiming to do once a month. We'll see how this happens. And I want to try and get it out in the first bit of the month. I know today's the 11th, so it's a lot later than I was planning on, but things happened. I have a bunch of stuff that I've got partially cut out. I need to finish that. I also have another, I don't know where I put it. Oh well. I have another winter weight skirt that I'm making. I picked up a couple of patterns from Sense and Sensibility. And this one is, this is just a picture that I pulled off of Google. So I don't know who it belongs to, and I will find out. But it's the 1909 jacket and skirt, the Beatrix from Sense and Sensibility Patterns. Oh, okay. So the pattern's off a website called The Fold Line. I had pulled it up and went, oh, this is a really nice picture of it. And it's a skirt and jacket, and we're going to see how well that works. The skirt looks strikingly similar to the version I've already made twice, except it's smaller, like it's a bit thinner, so there's not quite as much bulk to it, which is kind of what I'm aiming for. And then because I can't find vest patterns are hard to find, very hard to find. So I finally found this one, which is another downloadable pattern off of Jaylee. I'll link all of this stuff in the bottom. So we're going to see if I can make that look somewhat in line with the rest of it. Yeah, so that's about it. That's all she wrote. So I will see you again in a month and hopefully have some more interesting stuff to show. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.